Outside Terminal 3, paramedics assisted the wounded, including this TSA officer, who appeared to be unconscious. Wounded, including this TSA officer. Wounded, including this TSA officer.
Hey everyone, I have this article too for you. Photo of dummy presented as wounded LAX shooter by media. The New York Post has just released an insanely ridiculous photo claiming to show the LA airport or LAX shooter lying on the ground in a pool of his own blood. Anyone who's even just a little bit of common sense should be able to discern that this is completely faked. This is just more evidence indicating that this entire event is yet another hoax to justify more gun control and more government power. The photo is shown below. It says, first off, the body looks like a dummy that would be used in a crisis drill or exercise. It doesn't even look like a real person. It appears as if they took the dummy and painted its face with fake blood. Of course, with the blood that doesn't even look real there. Third, the shooter was described as wearing anything from a TSA uniform, camouflage, dark clothing, and even a bulletproof vest. Descriptions of the shooter's clothes don't even match up at all with what are being shown here in the picture. And fourth, the dummy that's shown in the photo doesn't even resemble the photos we've seen of the so-called Paul Anthony Ciancia character, who we've been told is the shooter. And they like the three names too and stuff like this. I gotta agree too. I thought it was kind of funny, his little arms swinging. If anything, it makes for some good comic relief, but that's about it. So it says maybe the FBI, which seems to have been heavily involved in this operation from the start, will do a better job when it's time for them to stage their next event or with crisis actors and that. But it could have just been that they were carrying out an exercise, because I saw a lot of that in the comment boards and that were saying, well, you know, this, how could they get everybody involved in this? Well, they're probably just all carrying out an exercise, and, you know, for the people that were doing the exercise, they were probably told that, yeah, this happened. It was like, well, and so when they go home, they're like, well, I didn't see anything. Like, you know, I didn't see anything. We're doing our exercise that day. And, you know, that's it. They said, why didn't they use real people instead of these dummies? One commenter said, because dead people or dummies don't talk. But either way, you know, this distorts everything. Yeah, you know, it's about gun control and government power, but it's also about distorting reality, and that's what they've done. And this is kind of to throw conspiracy theorists and alternative media through a loop, you know, so that you can't even question anything. That's what it is. Because if you question stuff like this, man, it's no joke, man. People will get on you. I mean, they don't even know these people, these quote victims and that, and they get all worked up like they take it personal. Oh, dude, look at it. I just saw this article today, or just right now. I was looking for another article, and I found this one. Shot in the mouth. LAX suspect still can't talk. Wow, you know, that sounds familiar. That was like the Zarniev guy, right, the Boston bomber. Yeah, he couldn't talk for a while either. Boston Marathon bombing victim Halloween costume prompts online fury. So, you know, this probably really did take place. I'm not one to say that everything's a hoax, but I think the Woolwich one was. The Sandy Hook one, good chance that it was. So they're just distorting everything, so you can't really believe what you're seeing. But, you know, the lemmings, they believe everything that they see, so, and they'll defend it. An LAX survivor said, I just prayed, the only option available in gun-free zones. So this year the shooter was armed with what a big surprise, AR-15 rifle. TSA will now pre-screen your taxes, car registration, passport, employment history, and more. Nothing short of a criminal background check will allow you to travel in America from now on. Travelers are now being subjected to even more invasive screening procedures by the infamous TSA. So, you know, when they carry out these operations, these psychological operations, such as Boston bombing or this LAX or whatever, it's for stuff like this too. You know, it's people are gonna, because they believe the lies. You know, yeah, maybe somebody did get their legs blown off of the Boston bombing thing. it doesn't mean that the thing wasn't a psychological operation or wasn't allowed to happen or the guy wasn't groomed for it to happen, so that they can go ahead and do stuff like this and people will, roll over for it. So before you go and fly, they'll be scouring all of the following documents: private employment information, vehicle registration, travel history, property ownership records, physical characteristics, tax identification numbers, past travel itineraries, law enforcement information, intelligence information, whatever the hell that is, passport numbers, frequent flyer information, other identifiers linked to DHS databases. Alleged LAX gunman had a New World Order conspiracy theory tracked. The man allegedly killed a TSA worker and wounded 3 others at the LAX airport. Had anti-government literature in his possession outlining an alleged conspiracy to create a single global government, law enforcement sources told NBC News. So the material that was recovered was supposedly had stuff that material that was prepared by a group called the New World Order. One source said it also expressed animus towards racial minorities. This is from the digital journal LAX shooting police trained for exact scenario 3 weeks ago. So the police chief said, we practiced to this not more than 3 weeks ago. Lone shooter, lone gunman. Face scanning screens that can determine your age and gender are coming to a gas station near you. So it's even more, right? Next time you absent-mindedly watch the ads as you're waiting to pay for a tank of gas, they might be watching you back. The digital advertising company Amscreen announced here with supermarket giant Tesco to roll out its Optimum Eyes technology across their 450 gas stations. They call them petrol forecourts. Screens near the pump will have a built-in camera with facial detection to measure how many people are viewing and to determine their gender, age range based on visual features. The Associated Press is slamming the White House for staged photos. I guess they told the press not to use Obama's propaganda. When Americans see a picture of President Obama in his office, on the phone, or in some other function, a natural conclusion that it was taken by the press. But it says here neither is true. It says, as if Obama's imperial presidency needed any more substantiation, the AP photography director outed the Obama regime for refusing press photographers access to the White House and instead handed over routinely images taken privately by his own photographers. He called it material propaganda at the AP Media Editors National Convention on October 30th. A Texas man was arrested and jailed for overdue library book. This is from the 31st, so you probably heard this story, but this isn't the first time insanity continues. Arrested over a library book. Get on the ground. Navy, it takes that one episode from the Seinfeld library cop to a whole new level, I guess. Navy SEALs ordered to remove "Don't Tread on Me" symbol from uniforms. A new U.S. Navy directive mandates that Navy SEALs replace the traditional "Don't Tread on Me" Navy Jack on their sleeve uniforms with the American flag. After 9/11, all U.S. Navy ships of war were ordered to return to the traditional "Don't Tread on Me" rattlesnake design for the duration of the War on Terror. When asked why the flag was changed, one SEAL said he was told that the Jack is too closely associated with radical groups. It says when the military resolve is infected with political correctness, the battle is lost. Touching pregnant ladies' tummies is now illegal in Pennsylvania. There's people that randomly go up and start touching people's stomachs, warning us that says like they're at a petting zoo. It says some women grin and bear it, and others get assertive, but these days almost all return home and then complain about it on Facebook. It says now in Pennsylvania they made it illegal to touch any stomach of a pregnant woman without her permission, pursuant to a harassment case against a man who kept touching her stomach against her will. So it says, in fact, let's go a step further and make it illegal to tell pregnant ladies how big they've gotten or ask if they're carrying twins. A city cop in Arkansas chased a woman through her workplace, shooting a taser at her because she refused to show him her breast. The woman claims in court she sued the city in Arkansas. She claims that Carter demanded that she expose her breast to him after he entered her workplace while on duty and wearing his uniform. Carter's demands the plaintiff to expose herself to him occurred multiple times. It continues that the plaintiff refused to show her breast to Carter, that upon her refusal, they issued an electroshock taser weapon from his utility belt, pointing the weapon at the plaintiff, and threatened to deploy the same against her if she would not expose her breast to him. So, damn, that's crazy. It says that upon seeing the threat of unlawful force, the plaintiff took physical flight and ran from Carter. So, it says here that they proceeded to physically chase the plaintiff through her place of employment. So while chasing him, they activated and deployed the taser, put on stun mode several times. Then a toddler's been burned alive while the cops repeatedly tased the father who was trying to rescue him. A man in Missouri, Louisiana, I believe that was trying to reach his 3-year-old stepson as his house burned. He left the house from the back door, then kicked in the front door. He thought he could reach the boy from the other side of the house. However, the Louisiana, Missouri police brutally tased him 3 times to prevent him from re-entering the house. He was then handcuffed and stuffed in a police cruiser. When firefighters entered the house, the boy was found dead within 15 feet of the front door. A video shows a man setting his wife on fire, used a lighter to spark a gas station explosion. The Georgia man is facing criminal charges after shocking surveillance footage shows him basically at a gas station. Sparked a lighter, starting a fire, but the graphic video shows that he then pulled the nozzle out of the truck, pointed at his wife, and pulled the trigger. She suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns to her legs, arms, back, and head, and shows her on fire as she runs for help. Police are charging her husband with reckless conduct of misdemeanor reports. So about the only good, decent episode of South Park this year, or this season, has been this informative murder porn episode. And you'll see stories like that a lot in real life. So October 17th, jealous student shot dead his ex-girlfriend and the coworker she dumped him for before killing himself by driving off a cliff. So I guess she ended a relationship with a controlling boyfriend the last week. So, and Daniel confessed about murder to a roommate and said he would plan to kill himself. Murdered teen Lauren Astley went to see her ex-boyfriend on the night he killed her because his worried mom asked her to reach out to him. So he stabbed and strangled her at his parents' home when she went to see him after work. A math PhD student, 29, accused of murdering his ex-girlfriend in her apartment and leaving roommate locked in bathroom. A boyfriend, distraught over breakup, shoots honors student, 19, and kills her new love before turning the gun on himself. So, what's all this about? Going back to the beginning, crazy stuff about the LAX shooting and that. The biggest thing, too, is about fear. It's about pacifying the population, pacifying them, so you don't even really have to use force. They just bend to your will because they're completely in fear. It's also about distorting love and using love to control people. Telling people that, when there's times where they should be, pissed off and they should resist and defend themselves or whatever in their way of life, they don't. And things like the UN saying it was a humanitarian crisis. Oh yeah, really? Going on in Syria. They want to tug on your heartstrings. And we know that they're trying to reverse the roles or merge them together, the gender roles of male and female, feminizing men and building up and emasculating women. And those guys that want to try to stay like guys, they watch television and they see that a man is, a manly man is what? Is one that gets in constant fights, takes to, performance-enhancing drugs and watches football, and is in constant fear. And when he gets dumped by his girlfriend or he's jealous, he just goes up and hacks him to pieces and then kills himself. Houston Texans NFL football coach is stable after a halftime collapse. They said that he did not have a heart attack. Said the collapse comes the day after Denver Broncos coach was hospitalized after feeling dizzy during a game of golf. So then you have this axe spray, right? It's supposed to circumvent the natural way of finding mates and stuff. You spray it on and women are going to be falling out of the trees trying to jump your bones. Well, 8 kids hospitalized by axe body spray. Same thing happened in Pennsylvania, and in Connecticut it actually set off a smoke alarm. And a man was killed by drinking Red Bull. It went to $85 million lawsuit. Thank you.